My name is Sarah Grimwood, Chair of the Natural Resources Commission, and I'm calling this public meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Tonight's NRC meeting will be a hybrid in-person and Zoom meeting. We have a microphone set up on the commission table and plans will be projected through the TV monitor. If you're presenting via Zoom, please turn on your audio and microphone when it is time for you to speak. Following the presentation by the petitioner and questions from the commission, members of the public will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment. Please identify yourself with name and address for the record. You can also raise your hand from your phone by dialing *9 and use *6 to unmute. All video screens will be turned off with the exception of any commissioners attending virtually and the current petitioner. Once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting. In the event of any technical difficulties, all matters on the agenda that have not been heard will be automatically continued to the December 11th meeting. Please note that the meeting is being recorded. At this time, I would like the commissioners to introduce themselves, please. Gary?
Gary Flyman.
Jim Smith, Bill Cameza. Nick Pappas.
Thank you very much. First on the agenda, as always, we have public comment. This is limited to up to 10 minutes with no more than 2 minutes allocated to any one speaker. And public comment is limited to items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments? No? Okay, thank you. We have one set of meeting minutes to approve for August 21st.
There were a couple of minor edits I sent to Karen.
I sent a couple to Karen.
So I make a motion that we accept the minutes for August 21st, 2024 as amended.
Second.
Nick, on the vote, Gary?
On abstain. That was not.
Okay,
Okay.
Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and I'm an aye as well. Thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments today? No?
Nope.
Okay. Celia, over to you for the director's update.
Okay, Warner's Pond Task Force, the subgroups are finalizing their proposals. Those proposals are due to the task force by December 10th. The dredging subgroup had reached out to issue an RFI for the alternatives for dredging and received quotes on Friday. And so we are proceeding with a low bid on that. And we hope to have those cost as estimates for the 3 dredging alternatives in early December. The next task force meeting will be December 17th at Harvey Wheeler and also on Zoom. And then a couple of other things I'm gonna
May I just ask, is that a public discussion as well? Because that, so the 3 are going to be presented, is that right?
So each subgroup has been presenting their proposals and yes,
To the committee.
to the
To the
task
To
force.
the task force, yeah.
Right.
They've been presenting internal.
Right,
Well, but in fact, it's open to the public.
It
So-
is.
So
Yeah,
people are, yeah,
there are public meetings.
yeah.
No, yeah, I asked because at the chair breakfast this morning, Mark made it sound as though it was more of a public forum, but it's not.
Oh, you know what? He's talking about, we are talking about having a public forum in
Right.
January.
In January.
Yeah, and it's time, it'll be time, by that time we'll have had bids on all the proposals, including, for example, the taking the dam down, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, right.
And
That's my same question. So at some
Yeah.
point in January, there's a forum
Yes,
being planned
Well,
that
yeah.
is intended to
Questions.
showcase all.
Yeah.
all the
3.
plans. Yeah, before
Yeah.
the commission,
So
before
you
the,
can hear final.
comments, yeah, yeah.
Before you do the vote.
before the task force
Yeah.
does its vote,
Yeah.
to recommend to the
Okay.
commission.
Right,
And will there be some outreach for that forum?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Let
to
him-
do the
these
same sort of
notices,
outreach
yeah.
that we did for the initial survey
Okay.
Yeah.
last year, which is a postcard to every,
Every
postal
council.
patron, published on social media, something in the bridge. Yep.
Okay, great. Yep, thank you.
Um,
Sorry to interrupt you.
no, thank you, that was helpful. So one other thing that I wanted to let you know about, one sec, there's the wrong way. Okay. So Warner's Pond will recall that the White Pond Associates gifted the White Pond Beach parcel and adjacent parcels, so lot C1, parcel X, lot B1, which is the beach parcel, and lot A1 to the town in 2019. And as part of that gift, or later, we learned that there was an encroachment of 258 square feet of land from a property owner here that was an adverse possession against the White Pond Associates. Their driveway had encroached onto that parcel since the 1950s. And so in 2023, the town conveyed that 258 square feet of land to the owners at 162 Plainfield. And as part of that, we secured the amount, the cost of the land that was $300 for that 258 square feet, as well as some money to contribute to a new survey to be conducted, $500 to be put towards a new survey of this lot because it has changed. And so we're working with the surveyors to
So we're looking at potentially other changes in the property owners around the edges. We don't know yet, do we? I'm jumping ahead.
we do. I mean, I had walked this boundary
Okay.
before the town acquired it, and
Okay.
actually mentioned to the property owner at the time that
Oh,
when the town acquired it, that if
you could see that
When
already. It was.
she would, yeah, you could see it. There was actually a plan that showed it.
Hmm.
And I had said to the property owner at the time that when they went to redo their driveway, they would need to redo it on their own property. And
I remember.
they were able to, demonstrate that they had had an adverse possession against the White Pond Associates. And so, and also you recall, they didn't have room to
No,
move
no,
their
they
driveway.
didn't, no.
It's a very small lot. So we are working to have this survey redone.
Sure.
And so that's going to be, getting underway shortly. Let's see, Haywood Meadow. There's some additional invasives removal work that is occurring on that parcel, mostly on the gun house side of the meadow. It's being done with Backyard Invasives, which is a local contractor. And Haywood Meadow Stewardship Committee, as well as staff, helped to plant 100 daffodils along the path. And that's in anticipation of the 250th.
100 daffodils,
That's right.
not 250.
Yeah, that's what Jim was just saying. 250.
We were donated 100 daffodils.
Okay.
All right, okay.
And it was a sort of a surprise gift and yeah, actually I hadn't even thought of that. So, yeah. And then I think the last thing that I have is, I have an image here of a new kiosk that has been installed at Punkatasset. You'll remember that the old kiosk was probably installed when the property was first acquired in the 70s. It was, creosote.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Was very large. This is,
This looks smaller than what was there.
Yeah.
it is smaller than what was there. This is styled after what the land trust has been installing on their properties.
I was gonna say, it looks exactly like the one on, at Gowing's Swan.
Yeah, yeah, and Chamberlain Woods. And so this, we owe great thanks to Trails Committee Chair Bob White,
Oh, yeah.
who probably put in 60 hours of volunteer time to install this. And also to Bert, who works with Bob to get this installed. And also to Ned Perry, who donated the shingles, their white cedar shingles,
Mhm.
that are, placed on
Hmm.
that. So we have a design for two sizes of kiosks that will be, this is a large style kiosk. And it'll be more sort of flagship properties, and then there's a smaller style
Mhm.
that will be used at smaller, so there's a sort of a consistent design that will be used, moving forward. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, we have two continuances without discussion today. Can I have a motion, please?
Sure.
Yeah, I move that, we continue to December 11th without discussion, notice of intent, Hennesnack Hill Association, H&A College Road, DEP file number 1379. And notice of intent, Taurus Investment Holdings LLC, 300-310 Baker Avenue, DEP file number 137-1683.
Second,
Thank you, Gary. On the vote? Gary?
yeah, aye.
Jim?
Aye.
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 And I'm an aye as well. Thank you. Okay, so we have three new applications to be heard this evening. The first one is a notice of intent for 110 Spencer Brook Road, DP file 1371686.
Evening.
Good evening.
Okay, Donya?
Of course, please, please.
Thank you.
So an introduction, my name is Seth Donahoe. I'm with Phyllis and Roy Civil Design Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of David and Miranda Lee. They are the owners of 110 Spencer Brook Road, which is the property on the screen before you. So we're on the north side of Spencer Brook Road, very near to the town boundaries of both Carlisle and Acton, just to our west there. It has an existing dwelling on it, a pool area, various outbuildings. The existing dwelling itself dates probably back to about the 1700s. There's a horse pasture area and horse runs. And what we've submitted a notice of intent for is a proposed barn and garage that is to supplement the existing pasture area. And so that is on the left side of your screen. It's a 50-foot long structure, 20 feet wide, so it's fairly narrow. And that's been designed to be in conformance with the bylaws, local setback policies of 50-foot no building. So we will not be encroaching upon that. I do have some small handouts of the plan, if anybody would like that, or if you're okay with the digital copy, I'm happy to continue through.
Okay, this is fine.
Okay, great. So there's a bordering vegetated wetland within the field, that's near the middle of your screen there, that basically originates at Spencer Brook Road, likely fed from the road runoff, and it goes to a much broader wet field on property of others to the north of the property and continues through. So there's a fence area around this. There's no tree removal proposed with this. You are looking at, this is the big picture of the entire property. The same plan actually has a blow up of it, of the actual work area. And that's where we've prescribed the erosion controls. There will also be a stone drip recharge trench around the perimeter of the structure. So that'll promote groundwater recharge from the roof runoff with the structure. The purpose of the structure is to supplement the existing horses. They are loaded in this area presently. So this will give them an area that they can be loaded within the fenced area on the property. That is what we're doing in a nutshell. If the commission has any specific questions for me, I'd be happy to dive into those.
Yeah, so for the plans, it's clear that you're going to be outside the 50.
Correct.
But my understanding was that staff couldn't confirm that because there were no wetland flags.
That's correct. So it is a horse area. Bert was kind enough to communicate with me after that. We'd be happy to go out and stake those if the commission or your staff would like to view it at any time. And we can, of course, stake the proposed barn location as well.
Okay, great. And then also, we're gonna need a table with the square footage of
Sure.
what you're filling in essentially, of the barn and also the driveway, and then, a proposal for one-on-one mitigation, because you're outside the 50.
That's fine. So
Yeah.
the garage itself, and we'll put this on an updated plan, it's 1,200 square feet is the
Okay.
footprint of the structure. And then we have, the driveway, it's a gravel driveway. They are driving on this now, but the gravel driveway will be to define that limited 12 feet in width. And that's gonna equate to 1,856 square feet.
Okay,
And as you mentioned, both of those are outside the 50-foot buffer zone.
okay, and you're clear of what's required as far as a table and.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, so we'll put that in table form
Great.
and we'll mitigate. So the total area associated with these two items, 3,056 square feet.
Mhm.
We'd probably go to a round number of 3,100 or slightly higher on a mitigation.
Does the driveway need to be that wide?
12 feet, like 10 feet could be fine if you want to trim it down. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Seth, did you say people are using that now to drive on that area?
yeah, so it's an active horse pasture.
So they're driving their trailers right up along that, where the driveway will be?
Correct, yeah, so there's a gate in that general vicinity.
Okay.
The gate would obviously be improved, but the purpose of this is to define where this will occur when they're actually loading
I
the
see.
horses.
Okay,
Mhm. Okay.
As far as mitigation goes, so this is an existing field, with the exception of the wetland area, there's very little vegetation in it. So as I mentioned, there's no trees in there. When we're dealing with a horse pasture, obviously if we're
Mhm.
planting certain things, they will not survive. They may be ate, so I can work with the homeowners on something specific for that. Has the commission dealt with something similar before that was preferable?
It could be anywhere on the property, right? It doesn't have to be in that
Could be
vicinity.
anywhere within the buffer zone.
Okay,
That's an improvement.
so I work with them to do that.
Yeah, so is there any plants in the wetland area at the moment?
I mean, there are some, it's all herbaceous layers. I mean, there's sensitive fern, there's some
Right.
brushes. I think big blue stem was
Mhm.
present while we were there. It is something that there's not much vegetation because the horses do peruse the
Right.
edges of it.
Right,
So are the horses, are they going throughout the property, through the wetlands?
They do, yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
And that's proposed to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been that way probably 100 years at this point.
Mhm. Hmm.
Seth, is there a fence though? I'm just curious, is there a fence somewhere in the?
Yeah, if whoever has the control of the plan, if they can scroll over screen left. Are you? Actually, if you go over to the side. And probably zoom out a little. So we gave you a blow up of this exact area here. It's very light on the screen, but essentially the perimeter, the property line, which is to the left of the screen,
Mhm.
is defined by an existing fence. There's an area that's labeled brush, where the notch in the property line is. That's essentially, low-lying brush in that area. The rest of the area is entirely a field until you get over to the right. There's the existing driveway. There's some ornamental trees that have been there for quite some time.
okay.
They essentially line the driveway in that area.
Hmm.
And that entire area is, in plain terms, a rectangular fenced area.
Okay,
So it would be helpful, the only fence that I saw on the plan was the one that is just to the left of the proposed garage. So if you can,
I can darken those up.
Yeah.
They're on there, but I see the question.
Mhm.
And then I did speak with the owners. They do have a manure management program in place as well. So that's actually removed from the site at this point. And that's handled from the existing driveway. That would not be related to this structure.
So at this time, we don't know where the proposed mitigation would be.
We don't.
We're-
I was hoping to talk to you
Get
guys,
some
whether it's.
guidance.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to make an attempt to make the wetland area better. I could see that as being something viable. Or if you would prefer that is to occur elsewhere on the property, I can certainly talk to the owners. The property's over 5 acres, so there's significant opportunities to do that. There's fringe areas all around where it could essentially be established as either a native upland or probably eventually transition into a wetland area. So I'd be happy to bring back a proposal to you so
Yeah.
that you can.
that'd be good.
We also don't have confirmation of the wetland flags, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what, I mean, I would think we would want to make the wetland delineation more robust with, you know, additional plantings and things like that. So wherever you confirm the wetland flags to be, I would focus in that area.
So closest to the resource area is.
That sounds
the
fine.
biggest benefit.
So what I'll plan to do is, I'll coordinate with the owners when we can put the stakes in there. And then I will let your office know, when those are present.
Yeah.
And then if you'd like, I'm happy to meet you out there, or I can arrange for you guys to go unaccompanied and take a look at it. So.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, sounds good, yeah.
Are there any public comments on this application?
Yeah, I'd like to raise a comment, and then I believe the gentleman next to me also would. My name is David Beamer. I got a notification as an abutter. I live on 383 Pope Road. I have some grave concerns about this. The first concern I've got, if this is meant to be a limited disturbance zone, why would you build anything like that? You can see the perimeter of the barn is going to be literally on that 50-foot limit. I would raise a concern about the comment from the gentleman from the firm that he represents about the proposed driveway being used today. I work from my house. I've never, ever seen a vehicle on that part of the property, because I overlook that property and I have a clear view. I've never seen a vehicle. So, I mean, I literally do not know what he is talking about. That is simply false. And I'd like that to be placed on the record. Obviously, it's used as a horse pasture. It was used as a horse pasture by the previous owners. I'm concerned as a neighbor that if this is a horse barn, how is the equine excrement going to be controlled? How do we ensure there's no runoff onto my property? And this gentleman's here. How do we ensure that the stream that runs through my property is not damaged by this? If he's bringing vehicles onto the property, I've seen a pickup truck, I assume it's diesel. I'm concerned about leakage of diesel. I'm concerned about drippage of oil, of air conditioning fluids, of goodness knows what else comes out of vehicles which do not currently drive on that horse pasture. So you are raising the pollution risk to that part of the property by building a barn there and building a driveway, and I assume vehicles are going to use it because it's a driveway. So I guess just a wider point, this is a 5.1 acre property. I cannot, and I'm not trying to design this barn, but I cannot believe there are not other parts of that 5.1 acre property that would not cause concern to the wetlands and would not be within 100 feet of the wetlands. So I believe I had limited opportunity to speak. I hope I've made my points clearly. And maybe I could introduce the gentleman who is also a neighbour and a brother. Fred, do you have some words that you'd like to add to that?
Yes, could I point out a couple of things on
Excuse me,
the
please, could you
map?
just?
Name and
say your
address
name
for the
and
record.
address?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Fred Seward. I live on 158 Spencer Brook Road.
Thank you.
And the first thing I was gonna point out was that I live, my house is right here.
Mhm.
So, I don't object to the horses. I like to see the horses in the field, but I think that, the, location of this whole thing is in a bad spot. It's rather interesting that it's all within the 100-foot buffer zone. I've spoken to committees like this before and objected to structures being partially in the buffer zone, and it's a bit surprising that this whole thing is in the buffer zone. The big problem for the wetlands is that this is not a level land, it's on a slope. And it slopes directly down into the wetland. Any runoff, drainage, pollution coming from this area will be carried right down to the wetlands. And the buffer zone is supposed to be there to protect wetlands. Another problem is it takes up about 20% of the pasture that's here. Now, the pasture is right now it's all dry, the horses can go any place. When it's wet, this area here is. There have always been horses in it, and horses plus rain make for a very muddy area. The drainage is such that there's a culvert under Pope Road is here. There's a culvert under Pope Road that carries water through my property. There's a small stream. And it then oozes over here. And then there is another low place in my property. My property wraps around like this. There's a low place here where the water goes through and into a stream which flows in back of David's property. It's hard to control this. We can't drain the wetlands. One could put a ditch through my property here and then through my property there. But we have made no attempt to do that, although I think in the distant past, it was a farm and that was the case. And I've lived in the house for 40 years and it's always, the wetlands are expanding, I think.
Mhm.
But this part of the pasture is a mess. This part is wet. One other problem with this is that it's going to be impossible to walk from the house to the barn. I imagine that they'll plan to drive around on the drive. I think the drive is a problem. If it's a gravel drive, I've had a gravel drive, and weeds grow in the gravel drive. They get unsightly. So you control the weeds by spraying. Then you spray weed killer, Roundup. If that's used here, well, some of that's going to find its way into the wetlands. Yeah. The other concern I have is that the barn, the footprint of the barn in the garage is big. And it's half as big as the footprint of the house. And I wonder if that means that the horse operation will be expanded. I think there are 4 horses now there, and there is a barn. This is a barn here behind the house. And I assume that they want a bigger barn. I know they have a horse trailer that they want to probably want to put that in the garage. I don't know what the barn means. They're going to be water in the barn, heating, a toilet. I don't know, but I'm concerned that it's going to be a bigger operation. Be more people, more traffic. And I think that's the activity is probably good for the wetlands and the construction. So those are my concerns. Thanks.
Would you like to respond?
I can reply to the commission to a couple of those things. As I mentioned before, there is a manure management plan in place on this property. So they keep a dumpster on the driveway and that is loaded with manure and that is disposed of from the site. So while we can't control where the horses go, it's not being disposed of in the wetlands or in the fringe areas. It's actually being properly taken care of off-site. As far as the structure itself, I mean, the town has, as you all know, very robust requirements, zoning, non-zoning wetland requirements. I mean, this is in conformance with that too. And we intend to keep it in conformance with that and also meet your extra requirements of mitigation here where we can actually enhance some of the surrounding area. I think that's, I will reply to one more thing. The question regarding, the water. this site is on well and septic. So if we were going to have any type of toilet or anything in this building, we'd be looking at a whole different level of permitting here.
Mhm.
And we'd be before you with different details than what's here. So that is not the case in this.
Mhm.
This is strictly to supplement the caring for the horses. The horses themselves do spend a night in the barn behind the property as well.
Mhm. I'm curious, do you know if the owners considered a shorter driveway or why they need such a long driveway?
That's due to the zoning, between the zoning setback and the wetland setback.
Oh, okay.
So we're about 150 feet back from the road. The side, respecting the side zoning offset, and out of respect to the neighbors and the abutters, we placed it so that it can be off of that setback and also meet the 50-foot setback or exceed the 50-foot setback. We're at 55 feet on this.
Seth, what's gonna happen to the old barn? On the property? You have any idea?
I don't think anything.
Nothing? Is
Yeah.
it being used as a barn now for horses?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it an old barn. I think it's nicer than my house.
I wouldn't be surprised over there, that's right. So there'll be two horse barns then likely. You
So
know,
this is, the horse trailer will go in. That's why it's this long shape.
Yeah,
So instead of
yeah.
storing it outside, it would be put in there.
but I see that the driveway for the house, for the main house, goes right back to that barn, that old.
It goes close. There's some horse runs in that area.
Yeah.
There's also a little bit of a slope, that goes
Yeah.
down.
But that's a paved driveway going all the way back to that first barn.
It's either paved or chip sealed, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
impervious.
So you do have that already, I'm just in passing, so this is over and above that, right?
Right, so why not expand on the existing structure?
I can talk to him about that option. I mean, this is what they desired in working with their
Yeah.
architect and, specifically the sizing, I know that came up, but that's to
Yeah.
put the trailer in.
Yeah.
They have several horses.
So that, the proposed barn is just for a trailer?
And
for additional horses?
there'd be, agricultural related care equipment in there, but
What's
the
that?
horses will
So
not,
Oh, not for horses.
yeah, and
so
the
it's
horses, will-
equipment,
yes.
not livestock.
Yeah.
not
so the horses already have a house.
Well, if you could share the concerns raised tonight with the.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
And that would be
Yep.
very helpful, thank you. And we're gonna continue the hearing anyway, because there's other pieces that need to be filled in.
Yep,
Right.
we're happy to work through that.
Okay. Are
Yeah,
you
it-
okay with December 11th? Sorry, one
Is
question.
it just a garage or is it also, are the horses gonna be quartered in there?
Oh, no, sir.
Suggest changing the name to just garage. Make it a
Well,
lot
that's
clearer.
true,
with
isn't
that.
it?
Well, they said there's other
There's the-
equipment and stuff in there, so.
I guess it says
Well,
barns.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't say.
I think
horse
if you could
place,
just
does it?
clarify that in the narrative, something supplemental to say that it's only equipment that is proposed in wherever the new structure ends up. And that it's not for an expansion of, a number of horses.
That's fine,
And
yeah.
do we have within our jurisdiction any concern about pollution? The question that was brought up about equipment and
Well, I think actually, so it would be helpful if you can share that manure management plan.
Mhm.
running chemicals, equipment chemicals,
They
fuels,
can do that.
leakage,
Yeah, I mean, I
and the
think,
maintenance of the driveway possibly, and how that's gonna be managed without pesticide.
we don't
without,
usually
Yeah,
require,
do we do that
that
for
as
other
a-
garages? I mean,
no, we don't usually require that.
People have mentioned the stream. I see on the maps, is it not a perennial stream that goes to the property? Okay,
No, I'll double check that, but I don't believe it is.
It's not, there's a USGS map within your application binder.
okay.
So that, I mean, I looked at the historic aerial photos for the site, before I came here tonight, and I mean, the whole area before most of the neighbors' houses were even here, it was just pretty substantial farm. And with that, there was probably some dug.
Drainage ditches.
Yeah, ditches or
Mhm.
irrigation. And funny enough, in the 1960 photo, there's actually a building, right where we're promoting it here, so there was always something there at one time, it's
Interesting.
gone since.
Okay, and are you okay continuing to December 11th?
Yeah, if anything changes, we'll let you guys know, but I'll let you know when we can coordinate, having stuff for you to see in the field there.
Yeah, I would think it'd be helpful, Seth, if you would raise the question about whether it could be combined with the present barn, if an equipment barn to be an annex to the present barn.
I will, I would point out though, that so the present barn is right at the limits of the 100-foot buffer zone. And they have a septic system on the other side.
Oh, they'll
So-
put the system
so-
on the other side.
Yeah, so it's likely that we'd be having a very similar discussion, just on a different portion of the property.
Mhm.
And that
But
we,
you wouldn't have the
Or
driveway.
you wouldn't have the driveway.
You would-
Correct.
Right.
okay,
And it's already a paved road going right
Yeah.
up to the edge of the barn.
So it would also reduce the mitigation required. I mean, you know, because the mitigation now is for the driveway as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
Worth talking about.
I'll put that out there.
Just a
and
thought.
Sure.
Not my call, so.
Right.
Yeah.
No, of course, yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, am I allowed just to add a couple of administrative points as well? If I look at the filing appears to be show the property owner as a certain 8245 Miranda LLC, whereas I believe the property owner to be an 8245 Medina LLC. So the paperwork looks a little sloppy or unclear. And then can I also add that on section C of the form, there appears to be no answer to question 6, which is a yes or no answer. So I just hope that's not
Okay.
symptomatic of this process.
Thank you for the comment. I'm sure Seth is dropping that down.
So, if there's a typo in the LLC's name, so that the owners are David and Miranda Lee, they do have an LLC. I'll certainly correct that for you on the Form 3. The deed is in your package too, and that rules and references everything. Section C is related to, NHESP Mesa filing. We are not in priority or estimated habitat on this, so section C would not need to be filled out,
Okay.
other than noting the map and that we're not in it.
Thank you. Hey, thank you, Seth.
Thank you, Seth.
I'm gonna hang out because I'm here for your next one. That's all right.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, terrific.
So next up, we have.
So we do the motion on the,
I'm just gonna have it pass. to
It's
the,
just gonna.
Continued to December 11th.
Yeah, we don't need that. So next up, we have, 1345 Monument Street, RDA file 2418. And this is you as well, Seth.
Correct. So again, for the record, I'm Seth Donahoe with Phillips and Roy Civil Design Group. My office has submitted a request for determination of applicability for 1345 Monument Street. Owner is Dr. Howard Dean. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant. This application was put forth for the replacement of an existing septic system. Similar to the last one, I do have some colored handouts. If any of the commission members would like to see that, my eyes aren't that good anymore, so the computer screen, doesn't always work for me. So this house has an existing septic system in the front of the dwelling. And that is nearing a point of failure, which is necessitating its replacement. The placement of the system itself is confined by where suitable soil testing was found, the existing house plumbing. There are some existing utilities on the northern portion of the site, and there's also an existing driveway. What you've seen in the middle there, where it's called a proposed inspection port and it's a proposed leach field in that area. That is a replacement in a very similar spot. There are wetlands generally surrounding a lot. This lot was likely a fill lot before many of our regulations existed. So there's really not many other places to put it in. This particular system is utilizing one of DEP's approved innovative alternative technologies. That's something that the Board of Health does allow. And from your point, this is something that is going to minimize alterations to the site. So we're able to reduce the grading associated with this, match the existing lawn area, and the entirety of our work area is within the existing front lawn here. So the dark line on your plan, that's representing a straw wattle that'll surround the work area. And this work area is completely accessible from the existing driveway. So all trucking and equipment will be able to access that driveway, access the work area, and leave the site through the same route. And this is also a filing that requires no tree removal, as we're completely within the limits of the existing lawn area. And I'm sure the commission is aware, but the Wetlands Protection Act actually defines a policy that if the system meets the requirements of Title V, it's therefore deemed to meet the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act. So we're in that ballpark on this. That is my spiel on this, unless there's any specific questions related to
Thank you
this.
very much. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
No, I don't.
No,
No. It's allowed and it's gonna be an improvement if you're fixing it third. So, are there any public comments on this one? No, okay, so we have a recommendation to issue a negative determination. Would someone like to do that? please?
Sure, I'll do it. I move that we issue a negative determination on the property location at 1345 Monument Street, RDA file number 24-18. The negative determination number 3 with the following conditions. 1, a pre-construction conference will be held with DNR staff prior to the commencement of the work. And 2, after the project has been completed, the applicant shall submit a letter to the NRC stating that all work has been conducted in accordance with all conditions of this determination of applicability, and any changes from the RDA shall be described.
second,
Thank you, Gary. And the vote? Okay,
Aye.
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 And I'm an aye as well.
Okay,
Thank you very
thank you.
much.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, next we have,
it's Dean Howard.
we have,
Howard Dean.
Yeah, long time.
I wondered.
Did too.
this is DP file 1371688. We have Dave Fussman. Good evening, Dave.
David, you're on.
Good evening, Dave Crossman, BNC Associates, representing the applicant Hassan Ahmad. This filing is in response to an enforcement order for clearing some trees within the buffer zone. Back in May, Mr. Ahmed had some trees being cut at the back of his lawn. And after he went away, the tree cutters, there's a fence right along the edge of that topographic area. When Mr. Ahmed left his property, the tree cutters went past the fence and pretty much cleared the slope down to the edge of wetlands. Some pretty good sized oaks and pines. When Mr. Ahmed came home, he immediately stopped that work and notified the office, your office. And I guess in August, Bert came out to look at it, and the enforcement order was issued in September, and this is in response to that enforcement order. So that slope is extremely steep, and none of the trees were removed, the stumps were not removed, so the slope is still stable. And we're proposing to provide some ground cover with some spreading junipers to maintain the stability of that slope. And in the meantime, a lot of the oak stumps have already resprouted since it's been about 6 months since that violation occurred. So we're not proposing to remove any of the stumps or cut any of the sprouts that have come back here. We're just gonna let it revegetate itself. And I think there were some pictures included in the filing, but the sprouts are already 2 to 3 feet in height from the oak stumps that run through there. So this is, I guess we're here to decide if the commission would like to see more mitigation, and if you have any questions regarding what's happening.
I think for the record,
Yeah.
staff has a comment.
I
Yeah.
think I'd just like to clarify the chain of events that staff was alerted to the tree clearing in May of 2024. I think it was on the 22nd, and a letter was staff viewed it from across the river and, sent a letter to the homeowner on May 23rd. A cease and desist letter. It's not an enforcement order. It was a violation letter that was issued. And, then there were, you know, it was a little challenging to, get, communication with the homeowner. And so, there was a lag in time. But by September, we had issued a letter, a revised letter, in terms of what was required for this filing, which is what brings it here.
So there really was not a communication between your letter in May and their response in September at some
No,
point?
there was communication with
Okay.
the homeowner, but the
Okay.
homeowner did not contact the office.
Oh, I
with
see.
notice
Yeah.
Of the
Yep.
violation. That was,
Yeah,
it was, yeah. And the first notice went out to the homeowner on May 23rd,
right.
not September.
And David, I must say, you mentioned some trees. It seems more extensive than some trees. Seems pretty remarkable how many things have been cut back in that area.
They did basically clear cut the slope.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't even dare to call it a lawn. At least that's none of that. It's a pity,
Well,
you know?
the lawn is not depicted on this. The
Okay.
survey crew only got from the fence down the hill. And
Yeah.
from the fence down the hill, it had been wooded prior to the
Yeah.
clearing. So that
So
lawn
Dave,
is not
you know
actually
that
shown.
typically when there's a violation, when there's removal of a forested condition, that the expectation of the commission is that it is returned to a forested condition. So planting 20 junipers in an unknown area, but it's much larger than what 20 junipers would satisfy as mitigation, in a sort of managed landscape area. That's just not acceptable.
No.
So something that provides a suite of, you know, canopy, understory and herbaceous plantings. I mean, you know, that's kind of a standard expectation when there's a violation and a restoration condition that the commission is looking for.
So we'll need
Well, we didn't provide this as the end-all plan. But
Okay,
merely
so-
as a starting point for discussion, because I
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
there'd be more that the commission would want, but I wasn't really privy to any of the
Okay.
conversations between staff and the applicant at the time.
Okay,
Those
so we
conversations
will
took
need
place.
additional plantings, with greater diversity of native species. And as Julia says, the idea would be to completely revegetate the area, especially in the no disturb zone, where there was a lot taken out.
And to reestablish the canopy,
Yeah,
Yeah,
not low growing junipers.
so we'll need a site, we'll need a plan with square footage. And then, you know, clearly showing where you're gonna do additional plantings and what you're proposing to plant.
All right, the junipers were not to replace the overstory. They were just merely an attempt to hold that slope, because that
Yes.
is super steep over there.
Mm-hmm.
And our other concern about replanting a lot of vegetation was that we would open up the slope when we start digging on that slope. Obviously we can we'll put in, I can come back with a revised plan with more plantings, but the junipers were not there. I was never implying that was replacing the
Okay.
overstory. That was just more of a erosion control type solution for holding that slope while there was no vegetation at the current time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Dave, you'll also be aware that when you clear an area like this, there's a high chance of invasives coming in. So we'll also need to see an invasive monitoring and removal plan as needed, removal as needed as
Okay.
well.
All right.
Okay, any other?
so was any of this done with the notion of having a view shed?
I believe there was some attempt at like vista pruning at the edge of the lawn. There was several big trees right at the edge of the lawn, and they just took that direction a little too far.
Because this
when
is
you,
this is a slope, right, Dave? It's going down in a slope, so if a view was the idea, there's probably, I believe there's some, what is it called when, the ways you can map out, being able to still see over, because a lot of the plants will be
Window.
lower down, right?
A window,
A window, mhm,
vista
okay.
window.
Vista window.
it's,
But we'll let.
there
we'll
was
let you
never,
know
there
the
was never
passing
gonna
plan.
be clearing of that, or there was not
Okay.
supposed to be clearing of that slope for Vista on the slope, because it does, like I said, it's extremely steep, so the trees, even though they may have been tall, were actually down
Yeah.
the slope, so the canopy was okay, but in the yard, the trees were on a more level ground. So the
Mhm.
thought was just taking care of the trees within the lawn area. And it got out of hand after that. That's all I know, so.
Okay.
So maybe, Dave, it would be just helpful to, think, I'm sure you recall this from the regulations, but vista pruning, that's outside of the 50-foot. Greater than 50 foot from the mean annual high water, or the buffer zone, 50 foot from wetlands. So not cutting of trees, and not reducing the leaf canopy to less than 90% of the existing crown cover.
So I don't, those stumps are not gonna hold that slope forever.
Right.
By any way, shape or form. So I hope that the plan gives some thought to the kinds of species of trees that will grab onto that slope, because that could be a real disaster.
Yeah.
I also have a question, just out of curiosity, in one of the photos I can see there's I'm guessing it's a dock. Is that removed at certain times of year, are there conditions with that dock?
That dock is removable. It does come in and out.
Mhm.
Part of it is, they didn't remove the whole dock this year. And there is plans for some future discussion with the commission about the dock at some point, but right now, we didn't want to add a bunch of things to this filing. We just want to take care of the violation to the main.
Okay, you might want to check the conditions that you're under at the moment, though, if it hasn't been removed.
Yeah, it's supposed to be removed by now.
Yeah, I looked at that today, the old order, actually, it's supposed to be removed by November 15th. And reinstalled between March 1st and April 15th.
Okay,
So even if you intend to come back, it should be removed now.
okay.
Thank you. So, we look forward to seeing your plan, Dave. Are you okay continuing to December 11th? That's the next meeting. Actually, I should have asked for public comment. Did I do that?
No.
Are there
No.
any public comment?
For December 11th, things have to be submitted by
Next Friday.
the 29th.
Yeah.
Is it the 29th? Is that? Yeah.
Day after Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah, after Thanksgiving. Sorry.
Yeah, the day after Thanksgiving, so that's not long.
You don't open that day, huh?
I know.
Slide
We're
it
not
on.
open. We're not
Slide
open,
it
so
up.
Monday. We'll take it Monday.
Okay,
December 2nd.
December 1st, I think. Oh,
December
okay.
2nd.
Second,
Monday is December 2nd.
Yes.
is that what he wants? Is that what you want to do? Come back that next meeting?
When is the one after that?
It's whether you can, think you can
Yeah,
have a
just whether
complete
you're ready.
plan together by December 2nd. If not, we could,
They're not gonna do anything this year.
Oh,
I think I might want to ask to go to the following meeting just to make sure I have
Mhm.
everything for you. I don't want
Sure.
to keep piecemealing
Yeah,
this as we
that-
go
that
down
would
the
be good.
I
road.
think, I believe it's January 8th. It's the, yeah, it's January 8th.
Right, because 3 weeks later will be January 1st. We won't be doing it then, so probably January 8th is the first.
Right. Because I do believe that we are also getting some additional topo of the area above the cutting so that it would be more clear as to where the fence and everything was on the property, lawn versus woods. But yeah, I don't wanna just come in with a partial plan
Yeah,
or
no,
something
it's
like
better
that.
to want to be ready.
Yeah.
should we be any testing of the soil for this issue about what sort of trees are gonna hold there? I mean, if that's a sandy glacial hill,
You should be able to look at what is there. And with that, and as well as looking at what trees are, what shrubs. Trees. and
Well,
or
most
shrubs
of the
remain.
trees that were cut were pines and oak trees.
Yeah, you're not gonna replant with pines because they're not gonna provide that,
Right.
that
Mhm.
Right,
soil.
I was
gravel.
never gonna plan on putting back pine trees,
Mhm.
and it's
Although they
the,
would,
so.
they would hold it,
Over time, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
depends.
Dave, did you say the fence came down?
No, the fence is still there.
Okay,
It was supposed to be like a demarcation of the limit of work for the tree cutters who just apparently, they did knock a part of it down, it looked like, and when they were
Okay.
doing additional work,
Mhm.
but it's not shown on this plan. That's why I believe we're having, I'll talk to Hassan about that. I believe we're getting some additional survey to show the fence and where the limit of work and lawn were supposed to be.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Okay, so the filing deadline for that is that,
Probably December 27th.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the website, Dave.
26th.
all right, all right.
26th.
Friday is the 27th, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good evening,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Good evening.
Okay, so we have 4 certificates of compliance.
Why don't we start with 109 Heath Ridge because we have the homeowners here, yeah.
Hello.
I'm Jerry Wedge, 109 Eastbridge Road. I'm here with my wife, Carolyn.
Feel free to pull up what you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. We got approval to do, we're Eastbridge Road is part of Canantum and we're right on the river. We got approval, I think the next slide shows the locus. That's where we are. So you can see about half of the property is sometimes underwater in the Wetland Conservancy District. We got approval in 2020, right before COVID hit. So we were a little bit delayed in implementing some of the work. But we did finish recently and we just had Jeff Purley from Purley Engineers do the as-built drawing. We submitted that application and if you go to the next slide, we ran into a bit of a glitch. No, if you do, yeah, let's just stop there. That's just Jeff's. I don't know if you guys have all this information or not. The as-built surveys on the left and his letter certifying that it's his professional opinion, we've met the basically the intent of the approvals. There is a bit of a glitch, and if you go to the next slide, that becomes more apparent. You see the stone wall just north of the house. That was intended to be fully within the outside of the no disturb zone. There's a small portion of it you can see that creeps into that no disturb zone. You'll also see that the pre-existing conditions of the house, which was built in the 50s and then added on to in the 70s. The rear deck there, quite a bit of that is within that no disturb zone. The actual corner of the house is in that zone, and the existing side deck is partially in that zone. There's also a set of stone steps you can see kind of right above that side deck. We got approval to remove brush around that area and up in those steps up. That's obviously fully in the no disturb zone. So, if you go to the next slide, I've just kind of outlined and Jeff gave me the square footages.
Sorry, can we just, I just want
Yeah.
to check and understand what the steps are. Are they off the
Yeah,
existing?
right there.
Oh, those
Yeah.
ones there. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And those were put in just to get down to the water at
Mhm.
some point. So these are the calculations from Jeff that say how much of the pre-existing condition. If you scroll down a little bit, I think it's 146 square feet of previous encroachment. And then he gave me a sketch in the next slide that shows the encroachment of the stone wall. So we're 9 inches over a total of square foot. And that square foot represents less than 1% of the total encroachment. It's obviously a mistake. We had no intention of doing it. We don't benefit from any of it. I can't tell you how it happened because we had the pre-construction meeting and it was all laid out. And so, you know, it was a mason who we respect and did a great job on the wall. But it's somehow over. So the question is, what do we do now? I have some thoughts.
Yes, please go ahead.
So obviously, we don't want to move the wall. We don't want to disturb that area all over again. The stone steps represent about 15 square feet. Each stone step is a little over 2 square feet. We could take out one of those stone steps and we would be neutral, a little bit better than neutral of where we started in the encroachment in that area. I don't know that you have the power to say just fine the way it is. If you don't decide to do that, then I'd propose that we take one of those stone
Could we
steps
look
out.
at the plan showing the steps again, please?
I think it's too back.
So those are the steps there.
So they're in the
They're-
25?
Yeah, they're fully in that no disturb
Yeah.
zone.
One of them
them
looks
is
like it
Could you
extends into the
Into the
wetland,
wetland,
yeah.
Yeah, so actually removing one of them is gonna be better, because it's
Yeah.
in, you know,
Closer.
it's closer. So that will be
That would be an
So maybe the
improvement.
bottom,
be
the bottom.
an improvement,
the bottom.
Right.
if you like, yes.
Are they cemented in place? Are they just setting into the?
I haven't dug one up. There's some support underneath them. I don't think it's concrete, but I think that we could get the stone up and if there's any rubble below it.
It's like an iceberg, 90% of them are under the ground.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But then what do you do with the rock? You just toss it in the wetland, like it's, I mean, water's gonna seep in around it, right?
So how would you stabilize that area?
Could I fill it with wood chips or something like that?
No,
Not and stabilize it.
You give
I
any
mean-
thought to which step you would take?
Well,
out?
just looking at the plan now, noting the
Bottom
one
and
step
top.
that's within the wetlands.
Probably the bottom
Yeah.
of
I'll
it.
do that.
Right,
And so you just bring that up out of the no disturb.
just take it out.
there's a monument in the front of the house.
Yeah.
A reminder.
Add it to the other side of the stone wall.
I might give it to the mason.
Yeah,
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 yeah. Right, so you have,
It's gonna be pretty heavy stone, if it's 2
Hmm.
square feet,
I may not do it myself.
Yeah.
no
I
equipment.
think the mason might help you out.
Yeah,
no,
Well, thank you for coming forward.
yeah,
with the
it
proposal.
seems very reasonable to me.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
so much, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any public comments? Do we have anyone? Anyone on?
I mean, I think the only question is how would you stabilize, you know, the area where the stone comes out? I don't know if it needs it.
Should I take it out and see what's there?
Um,
I mean, the water's so low this year, there's no,
yeah,
there's
that's
something
true,
there.
that's
right?
true, yeah, so it'd be
Good.
done by hand.
Yeah.
Right? And then, yeah, I think I mean, it's going to be just dirt underneath
Yeah.
it,
Right.
you know? And you seed it.
It'll be underwater soon, won't it?
It's also gonna be just complete hard pack,
Yeah,
you know, so.
Yeah.
I mean, the wetlands will take care of that.
I think the wetlands will take.
Will
care of it.
Probably.
take care of.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think there's an
I
issue.
Water always wins.
And I
Yeah.
don't know what instability we're concerned about. There's nothing, no structure around it, or the other stones are.
What's
well
the grade
founded.
like there?
It's
Is it-
pretty
It's
flat,
sloping. And
It's-
I know,
But at the bottom,
it's right at the
flat.
edge of the
right,
drop off.
is
and that's
it
why
a
it's
gentle
down.
grade or is it a steep grade?
Well,
At the
the,
bottom
the
of the
stone, I think is gentle, right? Where the stone you
Well,
would be
there's step,
taking
the
out,
steps are.
Yeah,
right? But I mean, that's last, where you
Yeah, the
described,
last
that's in the
step.
flatter.
It seems
part.
like
The
it's in the
last
flat.
step is.
By the
in
time you get
flat,
down
yeah.
to the bottom. it's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry
I don't
about it.
think it's-
I wouldn't either, to back up.
Okay.
So,
Take it out.
do we need to make a motion or anything on this, or do we?
No, so this was just,
COC.
you know, we had received the
Certificate, yes.
COC request and
Right.
Okay,
said, oh, part of it is in the 25, move it before, you know, coming forward to the commission, and Jerry said, I think I might have an alternate better solution, so this
Yeah.
is just really coming forward to
let us know.
Yeah.
let you
Yeah,
know,
Get,
and
get our
then,
buy-in.
Good idea.
you know.
Sounds
um,
good.
Right,
Sounds good. Thank
So
you.
what's the next, do I hear from you next?
so I think you do the work and then resubmit the plan.
Okay, I'll just have Jeff take the stone off. I'll take the stone out, have
Yeah,
Jeff take
and
the
then,
stone off.
yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That one's off.
That's right, so.
The others ready? I'll just, ready for you to,
Thank
Thank you, thank you, bye-bye.
Do we need to discuss the
ready for a motion?
others?
So let's see, so two of them have come off, Minot's, 147 Minot's has come off,
Yeah,
and
that's already-
48 Elm Street has come off.
We've got three here.
I'm off in the
So-
sense that.
Sorry, am I looking
There.
at?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
What is
I'm
it?
not looking at the-
On the agenda, there's only four.
Yes,
Right.
okay, those four are ready. to go.
Ramey, Wedge,
Okay,
Aho, and Trafton, so it's
So
only
Wedge
the
is on.
three. Wedge is
Which
now
is
gonna,
done.
what?
Right, Remy, Aho, and Tracton.
Okay, I
Got it.
move that we issue certificates of compliance for Remy 178 Eastbridge Road, the EP file 137-1642. Also for Aho 531 Annisnack Hill Road. EP file number 137-1633, and Trafton 1643 Monument Street. DEP file number 137-1576.
Second,
Gary,
aye.
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 and I'm an aye as well. So then that's it. And we have one administrative approval.
Yep, so that was, you might remember that was on our agenda for our last meeting as well, that property for a tree removal. The homeowner reached out again, they had a company come and look at the tree to take it out and, recommended one more for removal that's behind the house. It is pretty close to it. So they just reached back out to see if they could add one, and I checked it out, it doesn't look like it's in good shape, a lot of the bark's peeling
Okay.
off,
Okay.
and they know the deal already with
Makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I adjourn the meeting at 8:10.
Excellent, great.